All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the textbook AppInventor2 Create Your Own Android Apps by Wolber, Abelson, Spertus, and Looney. I've done some preliminary lectures, and I've gone through Chapter 1 where we built the Hello Per. So it's time to go onward and upward to Chapter 2 where we're going to create an application called PaintPot. What you're able to do in that application is to bring up an image and then draw on it, either in red, in blue, or in green. After we get done, you'll be able to take your own picture and put it in here. So if you want to take a selfie and draw on yourself, you could. Wipe will clean everything off. Big dots will make huge dots, and every time you click the big dots, those dots will get bigger. And then every time you click on the screen, it'll make a dot. Small dots, every time you click it, it'll get smaller. Okay? So, as it says, this is a throwback on a PaintPot program that was done back in the 70s. Okay? These are the things that you can do. I don't want to read them to you because it's basically what I just told you. All right? So, what we're supposed to learn in this particular chapter, first, how to use the canvas component, and that's how you do your drawing. How to handle both touch and drag events on the surface of the canvas. How to control screen layouts with arrangement components, so we'll use a couple horizontal arrangements in here. How to use event handlers that require arguments, and how to define variables. So we are to get to the App Inventor website, and I'm there, start a new project, and name it PaintPot. So here I am, projects, start a new project, PaintPot. Okay, and I should see it then when I get done. So if I click my projects window, I say my projects, there's PaintPot. All right, and it was just created a couple minutes ago. As always, there's my palette, there's my viewer, there's my components list, and there's my properties list. So I'm just going to, again, basically be following what's in the book here. All right. Now, they do mention a couple things here when they talk about the title, etc. It says the name you choose for your project as you work on it is the name of the project. So the name of my project is PaintPot. All right. As it says, you can always click Project and Save As if you want to make a copy or if you want to rename it or whatever. Just like you do in Windows or the Mac or whatever you'll be working on. Screen name is the name you see in the Components panel. As I mentioned in an earlier class, you cannot change that name. All right, and finally, title is what you see in the app's title bar. So if I come in here and I click on here and I go to rename, it's grayed out. I can't rename it, but I can change the title, which now is Screen 1, and I can change it to PaintPot. I'm going to spell it right. And you'll notice that up in my title, it is now changed to PaintPot. All right. So, designing the components. In this particular example, we're going to use 3 button components for selecting red, blue, or green paint. And we'll have a horizontal arrangement for holding them. We'll have a button for drawing or clearing the screen, 2 buttons for changing the size of the dots that are drawn, and 1 button for invoking the camera. So that's 7 buttons right there. And when we get all finished, I shouldn't even say when we get all finished, we'll also have a canvas component, which is our drawing surface. If you look here, I'm going to jump to the end of the chapter. This is what our blocks editor will look like when we get done. All right? And if that intimidates you in any way, it really shouldn't, because we're building it piece by piece. So the first thing we want to do is to create these 3 buttons. All right? So we want red button, blue button, and green button. Now this is not how I name things. My buttons, I start with a lowercase btn, but I'm going to follow the author's lead here as far as doing this. All right, so mine are going to look just like this. So there'll be red button, there will be green button, and there will be blue button. I think it was in that order. Nope, red, blue, and green. All right, that's fine. So the first one, again, we're going to go down here and rename it, and we're going to call it red button. The second one, we're going to come over here and we're going to rename it, and we're going to call it, sorry, one more time. Second one is blue button. And finally, the third one, we're going to come here and we're going to rename it, and it's going to say green button. So we now have named our buttons. The text we want to put on here will be red. The text we want to put on here will be blue. And the text we want to put on here will be green. All right, so we've done all that. Now, we want the background color of a red button to actually be red. The background color of our blue button to actually be blue. And the background color for our green button to actually be green. All right, so we've done all that. That's pretty much what they're showing in here. So we drag the three buttons on, we change their text attributes, we rename the buttons for the red button, the blue button, and the green button. Okay? It says, note in this project we're changing the names of the components and not leaving the default names like we did for the most part in the Hello Per. You should use names that are meaningful. It'll make it easier when you use the blocks editor, and if anyone was ever going to go and do some work with your project, it would make it easier for them to maintain it. All right, right now our three buttons are stacked up on top of one another. It says, but we want them lined up side by side. So we want to drag out a horizontal component and place that under our buttons, so right here. So I'm going to go to Layout, and under Layout I'm going to grab Horizontal Arrangement and put it right there. So there it is. We're supposed to use Fill Parent on this, so it takes up the entire width of the screen. So with making sure the horizontal arrangement highlighted, I go to Width, choose Fill Parent, and OK. You can see it's now taking up the entire width of the screen. Move the three buttons one by one into the horizontal arrangement component. Hint, you'll see a blue vertical line that shows where each button is to go. So we take our red one, we move it down here. We take our blue one, we move it here. We take our green one, we move it here. Okay, so far so good. If you look in the list of project components, you'll see the red buttons are now indented, meaning that they're inside of the horizontal arrangement. All right, before we add the canvas, I don't like the way that that looks, so I'm going to make one change right before we come in here and add the canvas, and that is I'm going to say that what we have in this horizontal arrangement, we want it centered. So let's see, Fill Parent, Alignment, Horizontal. There we go. I just like the way that looks a little bit better. And a horizontal arrangement goes from left to right. A horizontal scroll arrangement also goes from left to right, but it provides a scroll bar. A table arrangement allows you to set up a tabular thing with rows and columns. Vertical, rather than going from left to right, it goes from top to bottom. And vertical scroll also goes from top to bottom, but it allows you to have a scroll bar. All right, so it does say here we want to add a canvas. Change its name to Drawing Canvas, set the width to Fill Parent, so it takes the entire width of the screen, and the height to 300 pixels, because we're going to put something underneath it. So, again, what we want to do is we want to come down here to Drawing and Animation, and we want a canvas right there. We want to set the height to 300 pixels. And you can see then it takes up not everything, but much of the area here. And the width we want to set to Fill Parent. All right. And we want to change the name from Canvas 1 to, I think it's Drawing Canvas. All right? So, hold on just one sec. All right, so I came in here and just added the canvas and changed its name to Drawing Canvas. I set the width to fill parent, so it took the entire width of the screen, and I set the height to 300 pixels, which again, that meant that we're going to have room at the bottom so we can put in another horizontal arrangement and add some more buttons. All right, we want to set the background image of the drawing canvas to that kitty file. And as it says, we should have that from using it before. But just in case, I'm going to go out there and find it, right mouse click, save image as. I'm going to just save it right out to my desktop. So I'll have kitty.ping. Oh, I already did have it. Okay, so now it's, all right. So I want to click on here, go to background image, upload file, choose file, go to the desktop, find my kitty.png. There it is. Just click OK. All right, so that's filled that up. So I've now done that. All right. And somehow, and that's on me, I've lost my book. All right, so we've come in here, we've done this, we've done this, we did the fill parent, we did that, we added the canvas, we set the background image, we want the paint color by default for the drawing canvas to be set to red, so that when the user starts the app but hasn't clicked the button yet, the default color will be red. So when we get done, it should look like this. So notice we've got our 3 buttons, our picture, our area down here because we're going to add some more buttons in another horizontal arrangement, the horizontal arrangement with red button, blue button, and green button, and our canvas. All right, so that should be at least what I have here. And to me, it looks like we pretty much have got all of that stuff done now. All right. I didn't set the paint color of the drawing canvas to red. So with clicking on that, paint color will be set to red. So that's the color when we start. As far as I know, everything now that we were supposed to have done so far is done. Okay? This one will be much easier to test on the emulator because of the fact that we are not doing any sound or anything. So that should work without a problem. Hopefully it'll go off without a hitch. All right. We're going to do the bottom buttons, but since I like these to be about 15 minutes long a piece, I'm going to stop right here. So this will end part 1 of the presentation for Chapter 2.